Hey, this is a quick tutorial on how we take FileMaker Pro contracts and move them over to the Google spreadsheet. So in FileMaker Pro, we have a contract that's created. It has a fair amount of information, and we go to the layout called, this is the related contract. Go down to the bottom here, there's one called IGGD GSS export, and you simply export this. And in this case it will be called COL capital S hyphen SC 18 hyphen FM Pro export. Hit save. You take all of these variable fields, move all, and then hit export, and off they go. You then open them in TextEdit, which I've already done here. Then you copy that, go over to the 2018 IGGD GSS use, and it's the client entry sheet, which is only to be entered by either somebody, a production coordinator. Now, when you get into this, the one we brought over was call cut siding, and so we need, first of all, you can go Apple F here and do a find on collar cut, and you will find the row here. If we just click this a couple of times, you'll see it. This is the row 17 that has collar cut siding in it. Now the first thing you do is you take this row and you copy the entire row by clicking in the 17 column left and go over to the client entry sheet archive and paste that in, which I've already done as well. So we have basically a completed contract moves over here. Go back over to the entry one, and we simply go to our information here from FileMaker Pro that we've got in TextEdit at the moment, and we click in the, if you notice here under column B, copy paste FM Pro import starting in this column. So I click here, and go Apple V, and that brings everything in. But there's something I should have looked at first. I'm going to scroll back over here. Notice I'm in column A, B, B. I'm going to go back over to here, and before I do the import, I want you to notice here that over in columns K and L that there's information in the old version that we want to make sure we don't lose, or at least we review, and it's columns K, L, and columns K, L, excuse me, and S, which is over here. So I simply take the information out of column L, paste it up into here. I paste special value only, and there's nothing in this column, so I don't need to do it. This one here, go copy and paste special value only. And now I can paste in override the entirety of the row here starting in column B, and you'll see now the information all the way across changes. And basically understand this is the replacement of a new contract. There's different things that we do that when a contract goes, once a first shipment is completed, then we erase some information, like it says up here, delete content from all cells, these cells, after the delivery of a first shipment of a new contract. So basically when a card becomes a second shipment, it's basically a reprint at that point. And notice starting over here on the left, now we're going to examine the information that's come in. So first of all, in this column A, enter here anything that must be dealt with. Now, in the case of this, this is something that basically requires, somewhat immediate attention, or is very important. We don't want to forget about it. But you set these second two, it still has the blue, which means it has no current contract, which is not correct. You can see the four different statuses we can have. One can be new design, which means you've got a brand new client with a brand new design to be done. Not signed, no current contract, which what Collicut was because their contract had been completed, but it's still kept here until a new contract comes. Or a reprint with possible minor changes, which is what they are. So if I click on these two, and I would change this to, I could just reset it to white, because that's what it is now, which means that it's an active, now considered to be an active contract. Now, all of this information that we see here comes across from the FileMaker Pro contract. There's the order that these appear is actually defined by FileMaker Pro and does not follow what we care about. Like the order, it's not the order we'd like to see it in, but that doesn't really matter too much. There's nothing really in here that we really want to, in the import field. This is more just referencing, and the people who need to, the designers who need to use this, they can review it. It's the same as the information that's in the contract. Where it gets interesting and relevant is over in this area here. Is that we do have fields that have been added recently that mean stuff. Now, so this is all, basically, as we're getting up to here, this is the information that was copy pasted in. These are the communications that we add in over time when people put new communications in. This is basically shows that in the FileMaker Pro contract, I've assigned 6 hours of design time to be assigned to this particular Collicut contract because it's a reprint. And this would get filled in with the number of hours that are actually used. The production schedule is included, and you can see here that the latest proof approval date, the materials due date, date materials received. All of this information is filled in here, and basically the date. This date should not be filled in right now, which means it should have been deleted in the FileMaker Pro contract. So that will have to be changed in the contract because this should not be filled in right now. This we haven't sent a proof yet, so that's incorrect as well. Over here is the delivery information. And you can see the first date of, earliest date of first shipment, latest date of first shipment, for the final shipment, the date that it's supposed to deliver, quantity remaining on the contract. Now in the case of this, these people have made it clear that if we check back in our notes, there will be some, probably if we go back and check what the notes say way back here. The notes that we have for crossfields that have been brought in, ads may be sold in 12.5 quantities and in 12.5 quantities and replaced on second shipment, which means they could have two. They could resell the ads because it says here that the delivery of this, if you see here that the last shipment is going to be in 2019 is when they want it, and therefore they could change the ads for the second run. Also has a note here about ad designs. They're $65 each. So you'll see here that if we look at Collicut siding, it's already been entered into here. This where the pressure they're going to run on. Now, if you notice here, it says X12.5. If you look at the top here, old contract quantities have X in front. So that means that's from an old contract. And the one that we've got here for SP2 2018, the reason for this here is it says they've got to get cards between April 1 and April 15th. And so I've put them into this first press run to make sure that they don't miss getting their cards on time. So you can see here, cards that have been printed on a current contract have nothing in front of them. So cards that may be printed on an upcoming press sheet have P. And cards that have should be printed have S, and cards that must be printed have M. So when you see this M here, it means that we're saying that this card must run on this press sheet to ensure delivery by the beginning of April, because they sent a note to us saying they're out of cards, and that's something that could go in here. On the far left, I'm going back over to the column A here, which is part of the freeze column, so you see it every time. And that's a good point to put over here, right? It's just something that we're constantly aware of. I might also put in here the fact, if you notice that there was, it said $65 for each scorecard, sorry, each ad design, and we don't really have that referenced in here. And what has to happen is it has to be billed. And I put that in the invoice note, so it came over as well. Billing for any required items that we added to the amount due on delivery or shipping with shipping invoice if full payment on contract option is taken. So basically what I'm saying there is, okay, if they take the full payment on contract, then they will, then there's ad designs, which we don't know how many of there will be yet. They'll be added to the shipping contract. And I could actually add that over here in this column A too, and say that ad design's not billed yet, just so we've got a reference to that. You can also notice up here that we've got shipping info. So basically what happens here, to follow through, if we're talking about collar cut siding for the moment, let's highlight that so we see it. What's going to happen, this is going to be the first shipment of this order. And so when they're printed, we will find out how many boxes there were and how many cards per box there were. And then once we have them, we need to get the shipping charges. Now, in the case of collar cut siding, their cards are probably going to go from in a bulk shipping to Calgary, and then be shipped out individually from there. So in that case, you see here MC freight percentage, because they're part of that group shipment, mass shipment, bulk shipment has to be applied to their bill, and also whatever it costs to ship it from the shipping point in Calgary to the client. So the color that they would have would be this one. So I'll just copy that and paste it in here. And I'm going to override it, because what it would be equal to, let's pretend that their $100 was their part of their bulk shipment from Vancouver to Calgary, and then another $75 to ship to collar cut siding. Just like that. All right. I'll just put it in as $175, and that's what it should be. Okay, and that would take care of that. The shipping charges that we charge to them are simply, as you can see here, Lower Mainland is cost by 1.2. Rest of British Columbia is cost times 1.2 plus $25. Alberta equals cost times 1.2 plus $50. So this would be what we would charge collar cut siding would be this times 1.2 plus $50, or $260 is what they would be charged for shipping. And note, once we transfer this, once we take this and put it into QuickBooks as an invoice, then we turn this green. So we know that it's gone into that it's been transferred over. And also notice add dates, initials in notes. So here I would be putting JDS 11/12/18, and that would be that. And that means we have a complete record of all of their information. You can see the final one we're getting to the end here. This also calculates out what their individual bills are. Now, this is, if we go back over here, we'll see that the terms, if we scroll all the way back over, we'll see that the terms that they chose were, just going to pass them there. We're 25% due on contract, 75% due on delivery. If we zip back over here again for the billing, you'll see that this amount due on deposit that's the 25%, and these two numbers are each delivery of 12,500 split in two. So, and the total of those, these three things added up must equal the total contract. And if they do, this number will be zero. If the three of those added together here equal the total contract amount. And the same thing holding true here. When this gets put into QuickBooks, the person who puts it in makes this green and adds the note, so that we know that it's been transferred and there's a record of who did it. Final thing we have over here currently is shipping information, so that we're able to just copy paste these out for the individual press runs. And that covers this entire little tutorial.